What's up everybody? My name is Steve Fast and welcome to Hammerdown Motorsports. Today we are in the small town of Devon, Alberta, where I grew up in the beautiful River Valley, doing a little bit of a Denali owner's perspective on the 2018 Cadillac Escalade ESV. Okay, so those of you who are wondering, why didn't you wash this vehicle before the video, Steve? It looks terrible, it's full of salt, it's full of dirt. Well, it's like 11 degrees Celsius right now, and there's actually icicles forming on the vehicle as it was parked. So if I were to wash this, it would pretty much be frozen solid by the time I try to get back in it. And that is a problem in Canada. You do not wash your vehicles when it's that cold. And I know any of the Canadians out there are like -11, that's not even cold. But yes, it will be enough to cause me some problems, and I just don't want anything freezing up on this thing. So it doesn't get much more authentic than a 2018 Cadillac Escalade ESV covered in Alberta dirt. Alright, so being a Denali owner and having the opportunity to drive the 2018 Cadillac Escalade for a few days, I have a few things that I'd like to mention, and that would probably sway my decision-making process if I were to have the choice to buy either the Denali XL or the ESV Escalade. The first thing I gotta say about the Escalade is the looks of it are absolutely striking. You definitely know that you're in the flagship of GM, and it does feel like a $100,000 vehicle. Now in Canada, I believe this vehicle is far beyond 100,000 mark. I think they're somewhere in the 120s, depending on how you have them equipped. Down in the States, we're somewhere around the 90 mark. But either way, it is a significant amount of money more than the Denali, usually somewhere around $20,000 from what the purchase point of my Denali was. Now this one here being a rental, there are a few complaints that I have, and it's not necessarily the fault of the Escalade itself, it's the fact that it has been rented, it has been used and abused. When people pay a lot of money for a vehicle to rent, sometimes they don't necessarily treat it as if it's their own. So first of all, the driver's side door speaker is blown, and with the noise canceling with the Bose, it still comes on to cancel any exterior noise, and with a blown speaker, it's obviously going to make some nasty, horrible sounds while you're driving, which has been a little bit annoying. But like I said before, that it's because this is a rental, and the person that was renting this vehicle probably had his tunes cranked to 11 at all times until that speaker finally gave way.
The numbers all go to 11. Look, right across the board.
Another thing I gotta say is this one wasn't equipped with the massaging driver's seat, and now that was probably one of my favorite things about the Escalade versus the Denali, is the fact that it did have the option for the massaging driver's seat, which I obviously would really like to have. So what does the extra $20,000 get you in an Escalade? Well, one of the things I noticed right away was the 360-degree camera, which I do think is absolutely amazing. It has a front camera, I believe it has some on the mirrors, and it has the one in the rear as well. And when you're pulling into a tight parking spot, you actually can see in the front of the vehicle a lot like a Ford Raptor, which is really, really cool. And you have the aerial view of everything that's around you. So you have kids' toys in the driveway, or your dog runs out or anything like that. You're able to see that real time on a 360-degree view of your vehicle, so you don't have to worry about accidentally running something over, and it is definitely a good safety point in my opinion as well. So as far as appearance goes, the rear taillights on the Escalade always were a problem for me. I never really cared too much for the long look and the big LEDs and just how huge the taillights are on the Escalade. I like the ones in the Denali better, other than the fact that they do collect moisture, which I've said in previous videos. But on the extended version, the ESV, the taillights actually do suit the vehicle because of how big it is. It doesn't make them look strange or out of place like I think they do in the shorter version. So as far as the bones of the vehicle, they are very, very similar. I find the ride is about the same. I find that the four-wheel drive system is exactly the same. The engine power, everything like that. Don't really notice too much of a difference. The way they drive down the road, the way they handle, all that kind of stuff. You're basically getting the same package as a Denali XL. But there are a few little cues that Cadillac had to throw in just to make the Denali owners think twice about making that decision. Now the seats, they have a little bit of Alcantara in them. They've got the nice Cadillac V on them, which kind of gives you a little bit more of a classy touch. You do have Alcantara on the door panels. They kind of put the switches in different places. There's a lot more touch screen type thing. When you touch the screen on the Escalade, you do get a little bit of a feedback, almost like a vibration on the screen to know that you've selected what you've selected. And it's kind of neat. It's a little bit different. It's something that you're not going to get in the Denali. So the people that buy the Cadillac for the extra $20,000 could definitely feel special to know that they have something that not just everybody has. So with the Denali, you do share a dash with your standard Suburban and Yukon models with the screen that comes up and all that. On the center stack of the Escalade, you do have a unique bat cave where the entire center stack climate controls opens up and you have a space to put your phone or whatever you want to kind of keep out of view, which is pretty unique, and it actually is a lot of fun to play with. I've had to open it a few times just because it is so unique and different from what I'm used to. As far as the seats go, I think that the seats in the Escalade are just a little bit nicer than the Denali. The Denali, I think, shares the same design as the pickup trucks and your standard SLE design, but just maybe a higher quality leather. I'm not quite sure, but I find the seats in the Escalade to be a little bit softer and just maybe a little bit easier to get comfortable in. So being that this is a Cadillac, you do have a lot of wood, aluminum, a lot of really nice design features. When you're sitting in the cabin of this vehicle, it does feel like you're in a high-end luxury jet, and I do appreciate the fact that they really kind of went over and above and made this so you know that you're in a Cadillac. So as far as the wood grain in the Cadillac, I do find that it is maybe geared towards an older demographic rather than myself, where in the Denali I do feel that it's more my style, but that could be just a matter of opinion. So driving through my hometown of Devon, Alberta, it's definitely stirred up a lot of old memories and good times that I had out here and all the trouble that I caused. And it was actually a pretty great childhood, honestly, to be living in a small town in Alberta that's beautiful as this one. Honestly, you take everything for granted when you're young and you just don't really consider what you have because it's what you have and you're not used to anything else. But when you go to other places, honestly, I think we had it pretty good here. So if you guys ever want to visit a beautiful little small town in Alberta, Devon is definitely a place to go. All right, so let's get down to brass tacks. You're out in the SUV market. You want to buy either a Denali XL or an ESP Escalade or maybe even the shorter versions, and you're stuck between the GMC and the Cadillac. Well, as a Denali owner, I'm going to put it out there for you. Wins and loses in different departments. So, seats, Escalade is the winner because they are a little softer, a little easier to get used to, and honestly, they're one of a kind to the Cadillac product. Number 2, the center stack, controls, and all that kind of stuff goes to the Denali because, in my opinion, the touchscreen stuff, it just doesn't seem like something that I'm really all that interested in, and it seems a little bit harder to use than just the knobs and dials, but that could be just me, a little bit more utilitarian rather than this fancy stuff that takes a little bit to get used to. Next is styling. Now, although the Denali does stick to its roots with the beautiful Denali signature grille, the nice headlights, and all the different things that we all know and love about the Denali, the Cadillac parked next to the Denali, I believe, would outshine it just slightly, and I would have to give the looks department a win for the Cadillac Escalade. Now, options. You do have a few more options with the Cadillac, like the massaging seat and the 360 camera, which you do not get in the Denali, but I'm sure that will be coming very soon. So number 4, one of the more important ones for me was value and what I'm getting for my money. And even though the Denali is north of 80,000 US, I do believe that you do get a lot for your money, being that it is the full-size SUV and it does have a lot of options and makes you feel like you're in something that is a little bit higher end than just your average Suburban. So the Denali is definitely going to win this one hands down, being around $20,000 cheaper than an Escalade and basically delivering a very similar package. So number 5, I have to give to the Escalade as well because the styling in here is just a little bit more fancy than what you're going to find in a Denali, and it doesn't share a lot with other models, so you do feel a little bit more special. But there again, there is a $20,000 difference, so you should feel special for an extra 20 grand. So now the question goes out to you guys. What would you choose, the ESV Escalade or the XL Denali? Drop it in the comment section and tell me why. Also, if you guys are wondering if this is better than a Lincoln Navigator, well, of course it is. All in all, The Cadillac has a lot to offer, as well as the Denali, and I will not be running to the Cadillac dealership just yet to trade my Denali in on the Escalade, but they do offer a whole lot in different ways. So basically, if you are in the market for one of these SUVs, I would definitely test drive both and kind of know what you can live with and what you can live without, and basically set up the vehicle that's for you with the price point that you're willing to spend. There we go. There we go. Oh, it's too much fun. It's a lot better when there's a lot more snow, but it'll do. So now it's time to get out of here before I find a cop that remembers me. So that was just a few of my opinions of the Cadillac Escalade versus the Yukon Denali XL. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and keep that hammer down.